Welcome back to High Gain Guitar Academy. My name's Neil, and today we're going to talk about traditional scales. What are traditional scales? Well, these are your typical do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that sort of thing you learn in music school as a kid. We're going to learn your traditional scales on guitar. We're going to learn two shapes. We're going to learn your major, which is the happy sounding one, and the minor, which is the sad sounding one, okay? Just your basic two, happy, sad, major, and minor scales. Now, if you've watched the other videos on scales, then you may remember that scales are played the same way no matter where you move them on the neck. You can transpose them or just move them to any key, and they're always going to be the same thing. You get the idea. No matter where I move that shape, it's always going to be played the same way, just starting from a different fret. That being said, let's get into it. The first scale we're going to learn is the major scale, the major traditional scale. Now this one is pretty much the first scale you've ever heard in life, probably, you know, in music class as a kid, like I did earlier, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so on. This is that, okay? So we're just going to start from an example, let's call it the 3rd fret. We're going to start from the 3rd fret of the big E string. Again, we can move this anywhere, but that's just where we're going to learn it for now, okay? Let's start out just learning half of the scale. And the reason I say half is because this scale takes up 2 octaves. Like, so you'll go from your root note to the same note higher, and then again, the same note higher. So doing the first half kind of sets us up to get ready for the second half. So let's start with the first half and we'll go from there. We're going to use the 3rd fret of the E as an example. That's where we're going to start from. But like I said, once you learn this, you can move it anywhere on the neck. But for now, 3rd fret of the big E string. Let me show you how it sounds, and then I'll get into showing you how to do it. So we're going to start out on the 3 of the big E, then I'm going to use my pinky on the 5, same string. Remember, once you go to the next fret, you don't have to keep holding the previous one. You can just move away from it. Now we're going to move to the A string. We're going to start on the 2 of the A. This is where your pointer comes in. On the 2, followed by 3, followed by 5. Move into the D string, similar shape, but a little bit different. Starting with your pointer on the 2, then we're going to go ring finger on the 4, pinky on the 5. And that 5, that's the octave. That's where we're going to end for now. So let's review. Starting out, 3rd fret of the E, followed by the 5. Then on the A string, 2, 3, 5. Then the D string, 2, 4, 5. Now, while it's important to remember the number of frets we're on, it's more important to remember the shape, okay? The spacing apart of these notes, because no matter where you move it, it's going to be the same spacing. The fret numbers will change, but the spacing will always remain the same. That's sounding pretty good. So let's go ahead and add the second half. So we've made it from the root note to the octave. Now let's pick up from there and finish the scale. So from where we left off at the D string, we're now going to the G string, and you're going to do the same shape. 2, 4, 5. Then on the B string, 3, 5. And then moving to the last string, the little E, 2, 3. Now notice I'm going to go back to my pointer, then the middle to finish it off. So let's put it all together. I'm going to take it slow, and you can pause it and practice it as much as you need to. But here it is, the full traditional major scale. And you know what I'm going to say. We got to practice it going backwards too. You have to do it. If we get good going one direction but not the other one, we're going to get stuck being like a one direction guitar player. So there you go, nice happy major scale. Again, we can move that into any key, so what you really need to learn is the spacing. Don't get hung up on the fret numbers, just remember the distance apart on each string of the frets. We have to remember the shape. Guitar is all about shapes, and in this case, there's a lot of changing, so be sure you practice that and remember your shapes. All right, moving into the minor scale, we're gonna start from the same key. We're gonna start on the 3rd fret of the big E. This happens to be a G. We'll cover that in another video if you don't already know that. But we're starting on the 3rd fret of the E. Trust me on this. Now this is gonna be the sad or more serious sounding minor scale, okay? So the shape is gonna be a little bit different, but again, this is one we're gonna wanna memorize, moving forward. I know it's not easy. Over time, you will get it. The more we use these things in music and playing songs, the more they'll stick with you, okay? So again, starting with our pointer finger on the 3rd fret of the big E, then ring finger on the 5, pinky on the 6. Same thing on the A string. Go down to the A, same shape. On the D string, just 3/5. And that takes us to our first octave. So here's the first half all together. That one's pretty easy. I think that one's even easier than the major. So let's move on to the second half of the minor scale. Move into the G string, pointer finger on the 2, followed by middle finger on the 3, pinky on the 5. Then down to the B string, you're gonna do the same shape, but a fret higher, okay? So it's gonna be 3, 4, 6. And the final note, little E string, just the 3. That's it, just the 3. So let's put it all together, run through the whole thing. Here we go. And of course, backwards. Doesn't have to be fast, just precise. Take your time with it. Like I said, pause the video, come back and watch it as many times as you need to. But those are your basic traditional scales. I know we've learned our pentatonic scales and done some things like that, but these are kind of the scales that you're gonna wanna know when it comes to working with pretty much any other instrument other than just a guitar, okay? So these traditional scales have a huge place in music as a whole, and I think they're really going to get you out of your comfort zone and push you into new territory on the guitar. So hopefully this was informative and useful for you. Take it and make some awesome music. We'll see you next time.